We're back on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, talking trade deadline, talking FAAB, talking ads and drops, talking the Mets tying the Yankees for the best record in New York. All coming up next. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, the Sunday night version. I am Scott Jenstad, joined as always on Sunday nights by Jeff Erickson. If you please rate over the podcast, that would help us out a lot. Also, apologize. I had a great intro there, and all of a sudden I realized I was on the comments page and not the button with the little video, so my fault there.
I was like, dramatic pause here.
I was not intending to be dramatic, which is rare for me. Usually I am trying to be a little bit drama-filled, but apologize for the little bit of a 5-second delay there. Jeff, how are you this Sunday night?
Good. Pete Rose could have used that 5-second delay today.
Why does anybody put him on the air, Jeff?
Oh my gosh, he was terrible.
Do we not know this by now? Like, what? Nobody's surprised. Like, it's so absurd. You put him on any kind of broadcast ever.
We were doing in XFL. We're doing our monthly FAAB, and it's a Zoom call too because it's a snake draft, or it's not a snake draft. Yeah, it is a snake draft, and we do monthly. So it wasn't even FAABs; it's pickups. But anyhow, I joked that he thinks he's a lovable, dirty old man, but he's just really a dirty old man.
Yeah, I think there was a time where he was still lovable, and I think that time is gone. Like,
yeah, it was really painful.
I feel like there was a time where I still thought he was lovable. Like, it's weird. He's always my dad's favorite player. They have the same birthday. Like, there was always hustle and all that, grit and all that. And then got to be a point where like I wouldn't put him in the Hall of Fame. I don't want to see him get in when he's alive. I find if they put him in after he's passed, but like I don't want to see him get the benefit of that. I don't think he deserves it. I think he's handled the whole thing terribly. Argue not what you want with what he did should be in there, but like I just don't really want him to get the benefit of something good. He's just it's just so gross.
Yeah. It was a bad day for that. So
it was not great, but it was a really good day and good weekend for baseball overall. We had a lot of great stuff going on. I'm going to start with the Mets right now. The Mets have buried the Braves this week. They won 4 out of 5 and looked great. They had 19 strikeouts as a team tonight. It was crazy. DeGrom was just unbelievable. I mean, he looked, who knows how long he stays healthy, but he looks as good as ever. There was a time, like in the 4th inning, someone tweeted he had 16 sliders that guys had swung at, and he had 16 swing and misses. Like, that's impossible. Like, it's just no way. And then I know you get the home run to your boy Dansby Swanson, still becoming a good call by you there. But and then you get the trumpets playing for Diaz. He strikes out the side, just dominant. It's fun right now. I didn't think a month ago we talked about the Mets and the Yankees having the same record.
Remember when the Mets fans hated Diaz?
Yep. He had some home run issues a couple years ago, but man,
and wildness issues other times. Yeah, but he's awesome. Yeah, that intro pops. It's awesome. So fun.
Yeah. My wife and child are like, I walk in the house, they're like dancing around, singing to it randomly now. So I made them watch it. I made them watch it tonight. It was pretty funny. Juliet got very excited by that. She loves the trumpet, so it's fun. But I mean, I can't believe it. I mean, Yankees are struggling. Rough Yankees week. Frankie Montas today. I think it was a long break. He got traded. He was on the bereavement list, had a death in the family. Like, a lot of stuff going on. I saw some Yankees fans pretty upset about that trade. I'm like,
nobody got anybody out in that game. It was 12-9.
Yeah,
it wasn't just a Montas problem. Wainwright was a problem. I think the home plate umpire was an issue. Big time.
Yeah, well, Aaron Boone will definitely agree with you on that one. He was not pleased. But yeah, between him and Rocco Baldelli today, we had some managers that were pretty pissed off that the call at home plate on Sanchez was pretty bad too. But it was fun. We got some good races here. With the AL, both Centrals are pretty good races. The both Wests are pretty much done now. The Dodgers have fully stuck the absolute stake in the Padres this weekend. I mean, it was already done, but I mean, they swept them. I think the Padres had 1 earned run all weekend, Jeff.
Yeah, it was tough look for them. But I remember last year the Padres swept the Dodgers in a July series or something like that. Made a big deal about it. Like, they didn't, but like fan base did and all that. And then the Dodgers just pulled away and left them in the rearview mirror. But this is different. The Dodgers are just so legit good. Padres are going to be fine though. Don't worry too much about the Padres. And without that one game,
without that 1 game playoff, I like the fact that they can get a 3-gamer in there. And they'll get a real playoff series, assuming they make the wild card. I think they will. And on that note, to Fernando Tatis for your main event, sounds like we're looking at he's on his rehab assignment now. We're looking maybe a mid-August.
Yeah. And yeah, that's better than the Bryce Harper news. That's the one I really need, by the way. Tatis in the Vegas League would be great. I'm sitting in 4th in that league, but I'm a parsec away from the top 3. All awesome players: Bat Flip, Posma, and Matty Wood. So I'm closer to 5th than I am in the money. But yeah, I'll need that. It'll be nice. I'm not giving up. Trust me on that. But same time, that one's frustrating. The main event where I'm doing better, I saw the note on Harper sometime in September, which was kind of conflicted what was said by the GM earlier. Don't really know what to believe.
I read that again, and like I think I read it more as like last week of August, first week of September, rather than like maybe sometime in September. So I think you're okay there, but you're still probably 3 weeks off at this point. But I saw a couple of things saying 3 weeks, so hopefully that's the case. Funny you mentioned your Vegas main event. My Vegas main event league is nuts. We had 47 pickups this week.
Wow, that's
like
good.
my other main event's pretty active. It's some really good players in there, and it had like like 25 or something like that. I mean, we're in August 40. I kept scrolling down. I was like, I'm trying to find where my players were, and I was like, holy crap, there's a lot of ads here. I mean, it's great. There's a lot of teams that are in the mix, which if you get a league where there's only 3 or 4 teams that can win, that tends to fall off. We got a lot of teams in the mix, a lot of good players, a lot of vocal players, a lot of people in the industry. It's a fun league, but man, it's tough to get anybody when people are picking up 50 guys a week.
Yeah, and this is a big week. A lot of opportunities were kind of created. A lot of guys, and the best part is that you're seeing guys picked up in some leagues that are dropped in others.
Yep.
I love seeing that. 38, 40, 42 in my Vegas.
Oh, that's pretty darn good, because my online, I think I added it quickly. I think it was like 25 or 26 or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're not.
We got a lot of industry representation in mine too. Rudy Gamble's in ours also. Yeah, so not a shock there. Brockness is in there. So we got a lot of industry. We're just a little quieter than yours. That's all.
There's not many that are gonna be louder than our league was. That's for darn sure.
No.
But we had a lot of stuff at the trade deadline. Obviously, some of the other podcasts hit the actual trade. So, but we're gonna talk about some of the fantasy implications of pickups there. But I want to hit the Brewers real quick. They traded Josh Hader and then lost 5 of 6 this week to the Pirates and the Reds. And 5 of those losses by 2 runs or fewer, and a couple of them were like blown late games. Like, it's weird how they traded Hader, and all of a sudden this would have been a week he would have been huge for them. They're struggling right now.
Yeah, and it just went over like a lead balloon in the clubhouse. And
yeah. Did you see the Devin Williams interview?
I did. That was strange.
Just seemed like kind of pissed off about the whole thing.
Yeah, and I get the logic behind it. I mean, Billy Beane used to trade closers all the time. Usually it was in the offseason. Usually wasn't at the trade deadline, but I think at least one of Billy Taylor was at the trade deadline, if I recall correctly.
But like when they were really good, like he wasn't trading Keith Folk at the deadline. Like,
at the peak of his powers. Yeah.
And even Billy Koch, like they went into him with the playoffs, and he was sketchy as hell at that time. I think he had 10 wins that year because he just kept blowing games so that the A's would score in the ninth. But everyone's like, oh, he's got 10 wins. I'm like, yeah, don't read too far into that. It's always them saving him. But yeah, it was weird timing. I do get it too. I mean, I read the comments like, trading him for Rodgers is, not lateral, but not far off lateral. And they get some prospects and they save some money, but I don't know, man. You get Hader in that back end. There's something about him and Williams together, 8-9, that makes them really tough to beat in a playoff series.
Yeah, and that was the whole concept for the Brewers is they can beat you in a short series because their pitching is so darn great. Right now, they're not in the playoffs.
They're out. They're out right now, right? That's pretty wild. They're a half game behind the Padres and the Phillies, who are won 5 in a row, 9 of the last 10. I think I saw today that the Phillies are now closer to the Braves, and the Braves are to the Mets.
Yeah, this weekend was a really rough one for the Braves. I mean, and the thing is, they were rolling too, and they did their under the radar but useful add-ons, and Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom. Oops. And the thing is, their starting pitching isn't as strong. I mean, it got exposed a little bit.
Yeah, and the scary thing with the Phillies in a short series, I mean, you go Nola and Wheeler, and they can beat anybody in a short series, especially if you get Harper back. I mean, their bullpen is who the heck knows. They did add David Roberts, so that's going to help some. But you go Wheeler and Nola, you can win any series pretty quickly.
Yeah, you can. That's true. I just thought it was interesting too. After the Hader trade, going back to the Brewers real quick, they didn't even use Rodgers that much.
No, I think he only pitched once all week, right?
Yeah, unless did he pitch today? I don't think he did.
I don't remember. I was too busy trying to hit the drop button on him that I didn't see if he pitched today.
Oh, ouch. Yes, he did actually. He pitched the 8th and he actually gave up a run. So
I feel less bad about my drop. I feel less bad about my drop now.
So you did drop him. I was wondering what you were going to do there.
I did drop him. I'm pretty good in saves, and if I had been right in the mix where 2 or 3 saves each way made a huge difference, I maybe would have thought of holding on to him. But I think Williams is the guy for I don't know, let's call it 2/3. Let's just to use a nice roundish number, 2/3 of the time. And it's just hard. Like at that point, like am I holding on to Rodgers for 3 saves the rest of the way? Like I just didn't see it really working out. 3 or 4 saves, like, and he hasn't been pitching well. His ERA is over 4. He's giving up runs now in what it was that 9 of his last 14 outings or something like that. I just didn't see it happen. I picked up Ian Kennedy for him, who knows, but at least I have a good feeling about that one.
Well, and here's the thing too. It's like today's August 7th. If you have uncertainty, I mean, what are you holding him for? I mean, it's 7 weeks, so
and I think
you can
that
always pick him back up.
That's a good point. That goes for injuries too. Like injuries, there's so many guys we've seen that I think you got to be really, really just a mercenary with injuries now, unless it's Bryce Harper or someone like that. I think that any kind of IL right now is pretty close to cutting, unless they're coming back or they're like an uber stud.
Right. I'm flogging myself because we didn't drop Michael Brantley sooner. We dropped him today. Finally, he was 55% rostered this week going into this week's FAAB. So finally dropped him the day after the maybe some point this season update. I was like, what? This snuck up on me, Scott. I don't even remember like a major traumatic injury with this. And I don't remember any reports about this being long-term. It was like day to day. Oh, he's on the IL. Oh, it's been a month. Oh, and there's no progress.
Yeah, there was one like setback maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago where it was like, we don't know what's going on. I dropped him at 12-teamer. I probably would have done the same as you, held him at 15 because he's so good when he plays. But yeah, it's weird. I mean, they made it seem like they're really not sure he's coming back at all this year.
Yeah. I'm announcing that I'm selling in the RotoWire staff keeper league, and someone came at me with like, any interest in Brantley? No, go ahead and cut him. It's okay. I'm not going to trade for the guy you're going to cut. Ian Anderson was also offered.
Yeah, Ian Anderson demoted.
He just got demoted. I mean, the thing is, Anderson was terrible this week. As you tweeted out, I think he pulled a Zambrano on everybody there.
It was up 8-0 and pitched 4 2/3. There's just nothing worse.
But he was really good before that. Than his outing before that.
Was.
So I was a little surprised they sent him down, but they did trade for Odorizzi. So I thought they might be doing hey, we're going to have 6 starters for a while so we can stretch out Strider and Wright a little bit. But no, it was more like a situation there where I think they're just maybe they're going to go without. Now I haven't looked to see like what their schedule is this week yet, how many games they have.
So they actually have a doubleheader Saturday. They said they're going to call him back up and be the 27th man in that doubleheader, and then go back down and make some starts in the minors.
Interesting.
I think if Kyle Muller hadn't gotten hit by a comeback and broke his non-pitching hand, I think this would have been 3 weeks ago.
I agree.
It would have been Muller for Anderson, but now with that injury, Muller pitched 4 2/3 in his first outing back. I think it was yesterday, but he's just not. He gave 5 runs, so maybe he's not just fully ready yet. But yeah, it sounds like it's gonna be Anderson on next Saturday, kind of going against Miami, and then they're going to go back down because they play 6 games this week, but they have 2 off days, so it's just kind of a tough for them to figure out pitching week.
Yeah, it is.
One other thing I want to ask you before we get into FAAB, the Seattle offense. I've been like back and forth with a lot of these guys. Mitch Haniger came back this weekend. Julio Rodriguez is going to come back either Wednesday or Friday, it sounds like. They suddenly get really crowded in the outfield, especially the outfield, the DH, the corners kind of thing. And I'm trying to figure out who's going to play where. I have some Mitch Haniger. I have some Kyle Lewis. Jared Kelenic is up. What do you think happens
for now?
For now, I think he's going to go. I think he's got to go back down. I mean, everybody freaked out. He hit the 1 home run off cold, and you can say, I think that's his only hit since he came back. So, like,
is it really? I don't have any Kelenic anymore.
He was 1 for 14. He might have had a hit today. I didn't look today, but no, he was 0 for 4 today. So yeah, he has. I think he has 1 hit. So he got to come back up. That one, 2 hits. So two for 18.
Don't diminish the work Jared Kelenick's done since his call up, Scott. Come on, how dare you?
My supreme apologies to Mr. Kelenic, but I keep looking at Kyle Lewis and like I see a little upside here, but I don't think he's going to play enough right now, Jeff. I held him. I had a bid in to drop him in my main event. I held him 1 more week. I dropped him my 12s. I just think he's going to be the odd man out. As I looked closer, like I know he had that rookie of the year, but he's kind of struggled since then. He's struggling right now. He's missed so much time. But I mean, I think Winker, Haniger, and are definitely going to, they start almost every day. Maybe
Ty France.
Yeah, Ty France. Maybe a weird platoon where, Winker sits against a tough lefty or Haniger sits just to give him a day off. But then you stick Julio in there. That's 3 outfielders right there. For some reason, they keep playing Carlos Santana because he had a good first week for them. But it's a really crowded situation really quickly. They got Jake Lamb. They got Sam Haggerty. You got Kelenic there for now. Like I'm worried that Kyle Lewis is kind of be the on man out, maybe be a 2 or 3 times a week kind of guy.
Yeah, Suarez is going to play every day.
Yep.
Kennedy's going to play. Frazier is going to play most days. Adam Frazier is going to play most days. Yeah.
Crawford plays every day, but that shortstop doesn't affect these guys anyway.
Right.
But
True.
I think it's really crowded, and it gets really crowded really quickly once Julio comes back.
Yeah, because like Sam Haggerty has some abilities, has some skill, but he's not going to play every day, and that's the thing. I mean, he's hitting 305 for crying out loud. He probably should be playing more, but he's not.
Yeah, they just don't have spots for guys, and I think that I'm holding on Lewis for 1 week, but I think he's going to end up being a drop next week. I might end up regretting not dropping him, but we'll see. So, let's look ahead at week 19. It's an interesting week here. We've got a handful of teams with 7 games: Baltimore, the White Sox, Miami, Arizona, Pittsburgh, and Miami. Colorado is home all week, so a fun week. And whenever we get the Rockies at home all week, that's always a good thing. They have 3 against St. Louis and 3 against Arizona. We also have 4 teams that have 5 games. So it's a big week to try to avoid some of these. The Dodgers have 5, the Brewers have 5, the Twins have 5, and so do the Tampa Bay Rays. So it's a big disparity between some of these teams at the top and some of these teams at the bottom. There's a lot of off days this week. Yeah,
that's odd, especially in August. You don't expect it. You think like this is like, but this is probably like the last breath for a lot of teams. Who was it that I heard? I think it was maybe it was the Mets that we're talking about. They were giving a player like a day off Wednesday coming up, and that was it. That's like you're done after that, or something like that. So you're going to get back. I think it was Lindor they were talking about. They're going to they're going to have the off day Thursday.
I saw he's played every day since July 1st.
Right, and I mean it doesn't seem like that's that much, but that's today's day and age. But
and he's raking too. Like he's having an awesome year,
and he's playing great defense too. Yeah. But they're going to have a game against the Reds, and I think it's a day game against the Reds at home. Then they have an off day, and then they remain at home against the Phillies. So it's like a nice time to recharge him, and then like you're in the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think that's give those 2 full days, and then you figure the last week of the season, you probably get a couple chances to rest him. But for the stretch here, you go for him until you clinch, and then you call it there. And that's
home field's it's them and the Dodgers, right? I mean, hey. I think they have plenty of incentive to keep the foot on the pedal.
Are they? And they are far enough ahead of the Central that they don't have to worry. The bye is pretty much locked in. I mean, they're 10 games up on St. Louis, so that looks pretty good at least for the bye. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they're 5 games behind the Dodgers right now. That'll be a tough road. But yeah, if you can pace NLCS against the Dodgers, you get Game 7 at home. That's a pretty big deal right there.
Yeah. I think it's really funny. Yankees were like leading the free world and like the best record in baseball, and they've been tied by the Mets. They're a half game ahead of the Astros, and the Dodgers are ahead of everybody. The team and the Dodgers were pretty quiet at the trade deadline. They added Joey Gallo. They added Chris Martin. They didn't go big. I mean, they got Freddie Freeman in the offseason. It's kind of like the Mets, actually, for that matter. Yep. The Mets made strategic acquisitions. They just, tied into what they needed, and same with the Dodgers. And the Dodgers have all these guys potentially coming back too.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing with the Dodgers. They got all these injuries. I mean, Walker Buehler hasn't pitched for months. I mean, Kershaw's on the IL now, and they just keep rolling along, win 8 in a row. It's just they're so well built. They're so deep. We've talked about it plenty. I mean, when you have money, but you're also really, really smart. It's
money and brains is a tough combo to beat.
It's a really tough combo. Do you have any concerns at all about the Yankees? Or you just think it's a little blip in the season that we see in every baseball season?
Mostly a blip. But I mean, the Cardinals, I mean, what a big series for the Cardinals. Big week for the Cardinals. Going to the Yankees. I mean, they're still 70-39 after losing 5 in a row. I'm not really that worried about them. Not that I would worry about them.
They're still really, really good. They'll have to figure a couple things out, but I'm not especially worried yet. But other teams with really good schedules in week 19, I really like the Arizona Diamondbacks this week. Great schedule. We mentioned the 3 games at Coors against Colorado, but they also get 4 games at home against Pittsburgh. If you're going to drop a perfect week, 4 games against the Pirates and 3 at Colorado kind of sums it up pretty well.
For the hitters, for sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned it in passing, and I also picked up Ian Kennedy in a league, so that's not so great, but the Coors part at least. But
yeah, you hope he pitches once they have a 3-run lead on Saturday, and that's about the only time he gets in there.
Yeah. The problem is, you want to catch Colorado the very first game of their homestand. I always see, I think the research backed that up. Like, first game was usually like the lowest scoring of all the Coors Field games, but that is not an option for us, so we'll see.
Yeah, Miles Mikolas is the one that will get Mikolas will be the one that gets the first game there, so maybe that'll help him out. He's got 2 starts this week at Colorado, home Milwaukee, so maybe he'll get a little bit of a benefit from that being the first game of the Coors homestand.
Yeah. Yeah, but trying to predict that is fraught with peril. Watch, it'll be Dakota Hudson and his patented put as many base runners on as possible and get out of the jams method working for him there.
Not an ideal strategy for Coors, but the other team I really like this week. The thing with Arizona is there are some guys you can pick up there. There's we talked about Jake McCarthy a little bit last week. Alec Thomas is probably taking there, but at least that's not a team with like the Dodgers, the Yankees, where everybody's rostered. So if you get some sneaky Arizona guys this week, I do really like them. If Carson Kelly is out there, I love him as a catcher this week. He's probably taken in most leagues, but if you play in a more shallow league, he's possible too. He's been really really good since about the last month and a half or so.
At least you won't feel as bad about him this week.
Jeff, too soon.
All right, sorry. It's not too soon. Your striker's still in second place, right?
Third right now, but man, Sal Perez would look really good on that.
Oh, he would. He had a nice week.
19 home runs and 45 RBIs this week or something like that. It felt like he had 4 RBIs every night. I know he fully didn't. I have him on one team. I think he had 7 this week, but like 7 for your catcher is a massive number for 1 week.
Yeah.
The other team I like this week, I like the White Sox a lot this week. They do have a doubleheader snuck in there, so it's not a pure 7-game week. They're off tomorrow, but 4 at Kansas City, 3 against Detroit. That is a really nice setup for offensive players right there too.
It sure is.
Let's jump into FAAB. It was an interesting week. We had so many of the the fallout from trade deadlines. We'll talk about closers in a second. That's kind of where most of the trading stuff kind of opened some guys up. But starting pitchers. Again, I kind of found difficult once again. It's a really bad week for 2-star pitchers to pick guys up. There's a couple studs who have 2 and then kind of a lot of no names, but Edward Cabrera kind of topped the list, at least in 12s. He was 75% rostered in 12 teamers in the NFBC online championship, but 25% available. But Cabrera looked really good in his comeback start this week. He is at I'm looking at his matchup here. He is at Philadelphia, so a little bit of a tough matchup this week. But he's someone that I think that you can pick up and use most weeks here down the stretch if he stays healthy.
Agreed. He had that. He went like, was it 5 no-hit innings or almost 5 against the Cubs on Friday? Kind of caught me off guard. I'd kind of filed him away a little bit because I don't think I have him too many places, or any places for that matter. And yeah, he looked really good. Sneakily, this Marlins rotation is kind of fun. Pablo Lopez has had his ups and downs. Luzardo looked really good today. Now, I think the Cubs make players look good. Braxton Garrett quietly has added a lot of strikeouts to his repertoire. Trevor Rogers can take his time coming back.
So I think he's throwing a rehab outing on Tuesday, and then there's a chance he starts with them on Sunday. I don't know. I still have him, and I don't even know what the heck to do if he's going to start. I think I'm going to have to watch at least one start before I put him back in there.
Who's the odd man out? Or are they going to go 6-man?
I think they're going to go 6-man because they have a doubleheader on Saturday.
Yeah, they got. I see right now Blyer is like penciled in as the starter for that, and Rogers coming back on Sunday.
I just see R. Blyer. That's not
Richard.
Rocky Blyer. That's not Rocky Blyer, right?
No, he would be a tough look, but
Richard Blyer is 35. Oh, I don't.
I think it's like an opener situation.
That could be. Yeah. And the crazy thing with this situation is they have Sixto Sanchez and Max Meyer who are hurt for who knows how long.
Meyer had Tommy John, didn't he?
Yeah. So I mean, he's gone. I don't know how still going. Sixto could be gone for a month or a year. I have no idea. It seems like there's no that shoulder. Who knows? But I mean, they could have been really, really stacked next year. But 2024, they may be really good and still really young in the pitching staff.
Yeah, well, but again, this is the problem with building around young pitching, right? As you build the bat. I always like the teams that build the bats first and then add the pitching on top later. Yeah. I mean, everybody points to the Braves and how they develop pitchers and did that rotation, or the A's. Yeah. Moneyball was written about those. No, it wasn't. It wasn't written about the 3 aces. No,
it should have been. The reason they were good was Zito, Mulder, Hudson, and every 5th day those guys were out there. So
yeah.
Who else did you like for starting pitchers this week? I have one of my 2 main events. I need starters badly. I need strikeouts badly. My offense is great. I am just having trouble finding pitchers every single week. Did you look at either of the Baltimore guys with 2 starts this week? Either Kyle Bradish, who looked pretty good his last 2 outings, or Jordan Lyles. Problem is the first start's against Toronto. The second start's at Tampa Bay. The first one seems really scary. I know it's not in Toronto, but still.
Right.
Daniel Lynch threw really well for Kansas City, but he's facing the Dodgers this week.
No thanks.
Ryan Pepio, who's a big prospect for the Dodgers, might come up and pitch this week, but it sounds like it might be Andre Jackson too. I just don't know. It was hard to pick him up, not knowing if he's going to start this week.
Right.
Mitch White didn't look great in the start for Toronto. Well, I'm kind of naming some guys here that I was looking at, but who Was anybody you were really targeting as starting pitchers? Because I had a lot of trouble finding guys this week.
So I'm looking through my bids, and the two mains, we did not bid on a single starting pitch. No, Mitch White, we bid a buck on, and like long down on our list. But
Are you pretty good with pitchers where you don't really need anybody?
That's the one where we're doing better in starting pitcher. We're starting to get a little bit of attrition there, but it was Wayne no today, but for us, but we've built up a decent amount of wins and Ks in that league. So yeah, we didn't even, we looked around, didn't find a whole lot there. We're focused more on the relief pitching, which we're about to get to. Yeah. We did have someone asking us. Jason Jablonski asked us about Aaron Savali.
That was that's actually who I picked up in the where that's who I landed on in that the league where I need pitching, mostly because he's facing Detroit this week. He also may face Detroit next week, so I liked that combo. A little bit scary. He would get the White Sox next weekend, but after 2 Detroit starts, I'll figure that out when I get there.
Right.
Savali's tough to figure because he was horrible earlier this year. His ERA is over 6, but he was pretty good last year in 124 innings. He had a 3.84 ERA. 1.12 whip. He does not walk many guys, so that does help the whip right there. His last pitched, he only pitched an inning. It's just hard to figure out, and that was when he got hurt. He came in and just boom, he was done. So it's hard to know. He pitched, I think he pitched 55 pitches in his rehab outing. So it's a question of whether he can go 5 innings. Maybe they go up to 65, 70, but he jumped out to me as the name that maybe will hurt me the least. And if you're picking up guys with that as your thought process, you're in trouble. But
especially when said pitcher has a 6 ERA, and you're basically going on faith here that's Detroit that's going to cure him.
I was going mostly matchup and a little bit lean on. He was decent last year, but he's scary in terms of. But his BABIP's 350, so maybe his ERA is 6.17, his FIP is 4.22, xFIP is 4.1. It's in the 4s, but still not great. But it's mostly Detroit. I'm trying to hope to play a good matchup with maybe someone that's going to throw 5 innings. My concern is that he doesn't throw 5. That's the biggest problem for me right now.
It's a legit question. And especially first time back. I mean, and Detroit will sneak up on it. No, they're terrible, but they'll sneak up on some people a little bit here and there. I'm trying to look to see if maybe in my other 15 I bid on any starters because it was pretty grim.
Someone in the chat mentioned Keegan Thompson. He was long gone. I would have picked him up for sure. He's been taken for a while. I would have done that. Someone else.
How about you say Kikuchi? I'm sorry.
I picked him up last week, so that's where I'm at these days. But I did pick him up last week. I threw him this week. I think he threw 5 innings, only had 1 run, had 5 strikeouts. So I'm throwing him in this week. He's got 2 starts. He is at Baltimore, home against Cleveland. I'm throwing it for sure. I need strikeouts, and he's looked okay. I think he has 10 strikeouts and 2 walks in his 2 starts coming back, and he was good last year. He's obviously really bad earlier this year, but maybe he figured something out. But he's. I was actually a week early on him. That's how much I'm struggling with pitchers.
Yeah, Chris Bubich over his last 5 outings has an ERA, I think, around 2 something. I know this because he was in my waterfall.
You love it.
No. Just had to do it because you always point out when I say it. So, but last 5 starts, 2.84 ERA, 104 WHIP. I think he's had like 4 consecutive quality starts, including Boston, Yankees, Toronto, and Tampa Bay in those 4 starts.
Yep.
So
he was, and he's thrown 6, 7, and 7 innings last 4 starts too, which you really like. He was in my waterfall too. The thing that worried me a little bit, it's White Sox at Minnesota at Tampa Bay. The second one, maybe it might be okay, but didn't love the outings.
It's not great.
It's not great. It's a little scary. But
at least you'll get plenty of run support. Well, you might, the way that Kansas City pounded Boston this weekend. We talked a lot about teams having bad weekends. What about the Boston Red Sox having a bad weekend too?
They specialize in bad weekends, man. They've had some horrible ones this year.
I mean, you get pounded by Kansas City. I think they gave up 29 runs in this series against them.
Just a note there, I love MJ Melendez. I love his swing.
6 RBI today. He's batting leadoff. And they're having him play the outfield a lot too. So
they traded Whit Merrifield, and all of a sudden I see Melendez hitting leadoff. You got to love that at the catcher spot.
Yeah, and I know we got some other Kansas City players we're going to talk about too, hitting wise. But yeah, I had Mitch White and Kikuchi as options too. But I mean, it's minimal enthusiasm for all of these guys. I mean, it's tough to find it out there. Cabrera, if he's out there, I mean, that's clearly way better than anything.
It really makes that Max Meyer injury hurt, because that I saved some money and I went big on him, and I was a guy that I thought I could throw out every week, and that one definitely stung. Yep. I looked at the Oakland guys like James Caprillion. Blackburn's available. Blackburn's been awful the last month. His ERA's over.
I dropped him in a league this week.
I looked at him like I was like, oh, he's an all-star game. He's a pitcher, and I'm like, yeah, it's been really bad, and I just feel like
Jack Armstrong thinks that guy sucks. I mean,
there you go. Someone pulled up the Jack Armstrong baseball card.
I know, that was sweet, wasn't it? Yeah. What did you think about Cole Irvin on RAs?
I like, he's been really good. I like it, except for if he gets a second start, it's at Houston, and I just want no part of that. I know he pitched, I think he pitched pretty well against them last time, but man, that is not a start that I want. I know the first one is the Angels, which I really do like. That's why I looked at Caprillion a little bit, because he has just one start against the Angels. The Angels are really bad right now. Irvin with 7 innings, 2 earned runs against Houston on the 27th of July, 2 starts ago, and has had a really good run here of 6 starts in a row. So if I had him, I'd use him. I'd hold my breath for the second one, but he was taken in all my leagues, so I really didn't have a choice in it anyway.
Thrill seekers only. Dylan Bundy. Okay, kind of but he gets the Angels. Angels are really bad.
Angels are really bad on offense. Dylan Bundy is not very good either. So, but
it's a nice little combination there.
He's been okay his last couple starts, I suppose. Yeah, I think you probably can get away with that one against the Angels, but not someone I was aggressively going after.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the relievers. It was kind of the fun part from the trade, and a lot of spots opened up. But first, a note from our sponsor, the Blue Wire Network. We appreciate everyone indulging us there. Appreciate Blue Wire for the podcast all year long. Jeff, relievers were big. There was a lot of movement in relievers, a lot of movement setup guys. It was interesting that 2 of the bigger names that got dealt, what everybody's worried about, were Pablo Lopez and David Robertson. It's like, oh, they're going to go somewhere and be setup men. They both ended up spots where I think they're the primary closer. I know Philly didn't really name him that, and they're like kind of talking, mixing and matching, but he got to save off
Jorge Lopez, right?
Did I say Pablo Lopez?
You did.
Pablo Lopez almost got traded to the Yankees, apparently.
Yeah, almost, yes.
Yeah, sorry, Jorge
Maybe he would have closed. He could have closed for the Yanks, too. Who knows?
My apologies to Jorge Lopez, who's been really, really good this year, but went to Minnesota, a spot where he will close. And we were worried about guys moving into setup roles. That happened to Raisel Iglesias, of all people. The one that, we're like, oh, well, Raisel Iglesias is safe, and if he went somewhere, he'd close anyway, right? And he goes to Atlanta, where Kenley Jansen is the closer, and it seems like it's a move for the future for Atlanta. They have Iglesias' contract for the next 3 years, and Kenley's a free agent. But if you have Iglesias this year, that's a tough move right there.
Yeah, I still think he gets a handful of saves, 3 to 5, because Kenley is rough on back-to-back sometimes. But yeah, I mean that's.
Would you have held Iglesias where you have him?
I'm holding him where I have him. Well, I'm actually trading him in the staff keeper league, but if I get a real offer on him, but. Yeah,
I think it all depends on where you are in saves and what you need to. I mean, if you have a buffer either way, and his 3 or 5 saves won't make a difference, I think you can drop him. But you got to figure the ratios will be good. He's gonna have a chance for some wins in there. I think he'll still be pretty valuable in a deeper league.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Where is it that Jorge Lopez blew a save against the Blue Jays this weekend? Right, Friday maybe.
Yes, he blew one of those games. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he converted the first one he had, and then he blew the second one.
Yeah, there was a lot of runs scored in that series until today, but
yeah. I think the big win in FAAB, at least, Felix Bautista. He was taken in all the main events, but he was 46% rostered in 12-teamers. And we talked about him for the last probably 2 or 3 weeks. I think someone asked last week, who's the one person you'd add? And we both said Felix Bautista before the trade deadline, just because he's really, really good. 1.77 ERA, a 0.9 WHIP, 36% strikeout rate. The guy's just been awesome. They had a overlay of his pitches the other day, and his fastball, then he threw an 82-mile-an-hour changeup to O'Neal Cruz. There was no way he was ever going to touch the ball. It was just one of those nasty pitches. He was my top guy wherever he was available. He was not available in my 12-teamers, but he would have been tops for me among all the closers that kind of fell into jobs over the trade deadline.
Yeah, I agree. I wish I had him in more places. I scrambled to look. Taken. I do have him in my AL home league, and I've held him for a long time because it's a 4x4 league. So top relievers still have value even before they become closers. So I might have stumbled into a couple of closers in that league, which gives me some hope.
I saw Jeff answer the question in the chat. Would you drop Chris Morel and Nolan Jones? Jeff said Jones first. I would say both. So there's my answer there. I think Morel's just losing too much playing time right now for me to hold him.
Well, yeah, that's the problem is the Cubs didn't trade a couple of guys.
Yep.
And so Ian Happ didn't get dealt. That
everybody was like, pick up Jan Gomes 2 weeks ago, because when Contreras gets dealt, Gomes plays every day, and it's like Gomes had five at bats or something this week. It was crazy. So yeah,
I am lamenting Gomes because we did that. And Jose Trevino was available in my Vegas main. We got outbid on him. And getting a difference maker at catcher is so nice. I mean,
for sure.
Yeah.
So the other closers, let's since you mentioned Trevino, let's talk about the Yankees right now first. I know it's a tough subject for you because you have Clay Holmes in the main event. So Chapman was available in some 12s. I saw. I think he was taking most of the 15s, but he's available in a lot of leagues. People playing their home leagues, their daily leagues. Do you think Chapman slides right into the job right now? I know Aaron Boone had mentioned that if they had the lead, Chapman would have thrown the ninth before Holmes blew it just to stick, make it even worse for Holmes. He was going to be the setup guy and still blew it. Do you think Chapman is just like the guy for the next few save-off series if he gets them and converts them and kind of runs with it?
I kind of do.
I
think it's going to be him. I'm not dropping Holmes yet because Chapman could walk the diamond, still too. It's possible, but Holmes has actually got to pitch well to get that job back. It might be Efros.
That's the whole key. Well, Efros got smoked today, so maybe.
Well, yeah, everybody got smoked today. So yeah,
he gave a 3-run homer to someone in the Cardinals. I forget.
The Youngs, maybe. Yeah,
you're right. I think it was. You're right.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm holding but benching Efros. I mean, Holmes this week. I tweeted out like Friday. I think Clay Holmes has turned back into Clay Holmes.
Yeah, you hope he seems like he just has no idea. His release point's kind of all over the place right now. Doesn't know where it's going and hitting guys, walking guys, and then when he does get the strike zone, he gets too much of it. It's just you hope it's it was a really good 4 months. You hope maybe it's a little blip here, but I think Chapman gets the next couple, and if he converts it, he probably just runs away with it. But like you said, he can walk the diamond at any time, and they can get sick of him pretty quick too. So in a 15-teamer, I'd be keeping Holmes. I dropped him in a 12-teamer, but I'm something like 10 saves up on the rest of the league, and I have Clase and Hader, and it just didn't seem like it was worth the roster spot.
Of course not. Well, yeah, I mean, you got those two. That's huge. Clase is so good.
Yeah, and I've been throwing 3 relievers all year, so I can use some work and strikeouts. So I think it's just was the time to. I just couldn't get myself to sit Holmes for that stretch. I mean, it's just so good. I'm like, at some point, we'll have to go down to 2 relievers, maybe down to 1 reliever, but now is the time to clearly do it. So hoping someone bids on him. So.
By the way, before we move on, my favorite Emmanuel Clase note of the year, he's thrown 45 innings going in a day, and I know he pitched today, so I can add to that. But 6 walks, 6.
It's not so Dennis. Good. It's not Dennis Eckersley, but it's pretty damn good.
So you don't have that anxiety while watching him. And
you mean every time Craig Kimbrell takes the mound, you're like, I just have no idea where this is going right now.
Yeah. But can and I've got a lot of anxiety when it comes to closers too. I'm annoyed at the Royals. They pitched Scott Barlow today, and it was like a 13-5 game.
Yes, it was. That was weird.
What the heck is Mike Matheny doing?
So you can go with that as a common theme and through the last 10 years of baseball, right there.
Life, yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah, Clase did not walk anybody today. By the way, he did have 2 strikeouts, and he faced 3 batters, so it was he's nasty.
I mean, at least the Royals are off tomorrow, so. I'm going back to Barlow because I'm really fixated on me here. So
Clase and Diaz, the first 2 relievers taken next year, is Hader still there?
Oh, it's Clase and Diaz for me.
Me too. Clase, Diaz, Hader, Hendricks, top 4.
Let me get back to you on digging in a little bit on Hendricks and Hader. Let's see how they finish the stretch run too.
Yeah. But I need answers now, Jeff.
Well, if you are in a keeper league trading that, I mean, I guess I'm trying to. I want to make sure I didn't forget anybody, but
it's Clase and Diaz 1-2 kind of in the Hader Hendricks spot from this year, right?
I think so. I mean, Helsley maybe.
Yeah, I mean they'd have to commit to him fully getting the job.
He only has 10 saves.
I was gonna say while you're looking at that, look how many saves he has because I'm always surprised when I see that.
He's so good though, dude.
So good. He's
66 strikeouts in 44 innings.
Oh, he's filthy. I freaking love him, but it's you need 30 something saves to be one of those top guys, and he's just I don't know. He's obviously not gonna get there this year, but I'm looking at it. I think it's Diaz. I mean, Romano's probably 5th or 6th right in there somewhere, but I think those are the definite top 4 or 5 right there.
Yeah. And for all my hand-wringing on Clay Holmes, he still has 17 saves, a 2.12 ERA, and a .964 WHIP. I mean, he's still a really darn good pitcher. So.
For the few of the hiccups he had the last couple of weeks, it's still been a gigantic plus move.
Yeah, exactly. So I maybe stand down just a little bit. It's been a frustrating week trying to catch saves.
And
I mean, that's a category I really need right
you
now.
could see the Chapman coming, and you could see every time home goes with a hit or a walk, you just look, because he had Chapman lurking there, which is always
right.
Always
he had a chance to finish the conversation and spit the bit instead.
Yeah, he has, a couple of great weeks, and he probably just keeps it for the rest of the year. Some other guys who I guess fell into saves a little bit. The first is Jonathan Hernandez. That was more of an injury situation with Joe Barlow. Although Joe Barlow is on a rehab assignment right now. Sounds like he's gonna be back sometime next week. So I was worried there myself. I like Hernandez a lot. He throws hard. We talked about him last year when he was maybe going to close. We got Ian Kennedy, who you mentioned. He had 2 outings this week. It seems like he's the guy now that Melance's out of there. Melance got the save today, but Kennedy had thrown Friday and Saturday, so I think that was more of a rest situation. And then Rowan Wick in Chicago is kind of last man standing. They traded Givens, they traded Robertson, they traded Efros. We're back to Rowan Wick, who it feels like every year at this time of the year we're talking about, can Rowan Wick get the job done? How did you rank those guys? Who are you kind of most going aggressively towards? I know you need saves in some leagues.
So first of all, shout out to my Scarf League where Wick and Kennedy were already rostered.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's pretty.
Wick,
15 same format as the main.
Wick one's surprising because they had to trade like 3 guys to get him there.
Yeah, they did. 4 guys. It was Robertson, Givens, Chris Martin, and
Chris Martin. That's right. I was forgetting about Chris Martin.
Chris Martin's a good pitcher, by
the
way.
Yeah.
He may not be fantasy relevant, but right now, but he did get a win this weekend. But yeah, so here's how I rated him. I ranked him Kennedy, Wick, Will Crow.
Oh, okay.
Jason Adam. I didn't have Hernandez available in this one. Quijada, and then last bit of hope, Danny Jimenez, although I think he's like 3rd in line, but it's just one of those like, okay, well, we need a closer. We're desperate here. We're dropping loose, smoking Lou Trevino, so it's okay.
Did you got a couple saves out of him, right?
No, I think
none.
I think we got him we picked him up on like this last Sunday, so he didn't do Jack this week, but I don't think
we were close. I had them Kennedy, Wick, Hernandez were my top 3 where Hernandez was available. I like Hernandez a lot. I just think Joe Barlow coming back clouds that situation a little bit too much for me.
It does.
I think Kennedy is I think they said committee. I think he's mostly the guy that maybe in a weird situation they'll use Mantiply, or I think Melanson. I mean, I gotta get the save today, but put 2 more guys on base, and then Wick was just kind of, like I said, nobody there. I kind of just punted on the Angels altogether. You mentioned Quijada, there's Tepera, there's Jesse Chavez. As I got deeper into that one, I just kind of felt like it was going to be too frustrating to deal with, and none of them really jumped out to me as guys.
Especially because Quijada pitched the 8th on, what was it, Friday or Saturday?
I think Chavez came in for the save and blew it, right?
Which is always handy.
It's Jesse Chavez. Like, we've seen this story many times. Like, he's not going to be closing games. Tepera, who I think was good. Was it last year he was good? Has not been very good overall this year. So I was a little worried there. His ERA is over 4. Strikeout rate was last year was 31%. This year is 19%. He's like just a different pitcher this year. It's hard to get behind that one too.
Yeah. Were you interested in Crow at all?
I like Crow. I just didn't have a feel for how long David Bednar was going to be out. It sounded like he wanted to pitch through it. And they said, let's get the back calmed down, but it's a back like that could,
it could be forever.
He could step the wrong way and be out 3 more weeks. So,
right.
Interesting enough, Bednar got dropped in one of my 2-minute events. I owned him in the other one, so I wasn't dropping him yet, but he got dropped in one in the right. Could use some saves. So I'm hoping we get some news before the end of next week. But in terms of pitchers, I like Will Crow. I mean, I think he'll be solid. He got the first save op with Bednar out. We thought maybe they go to Yerry De Los Santos. They did last time Bednar was out, but they went to Crow. I think it was Friday. I guess it was Tuesday when we didn't know that Bednar was hurt. They went all of a sudden. I flipped it on. I thought Bednar was coming in. It turned out to be Crow. But if Bednar was out 3 weeks, I'd probably put Crow second in that list behind Kennedy, probably.
Yeah, and Crow's been good all year. Too. I mean, he's had a really good year. Frankly, I'm a little surprised that he wasn't dealt at the deadline, but then again, I think he's got so little service time that it wasn't an urgency thing. But seeing what the Cubs get value for Efros, similar amount of service time, maybe even less with the Yankees, I would have thought Crow would have gotten dealt, but we'll see. With the Rangers, I think Barlow's kind of entering Rich Hill super blister territory. He's been out a while.
Does he have a blister or something else? I don't even know what his injury is.
It was a blister, is what I thought it was. At least that originally. Maybe there was something else that I missed.
He seems like he's made more rehab outings than a relief pitcher normally would. I know he went from AA to AAA on, I think it was Wednesday. I saw that. He's going to make some final tune-ups. But yeah, you're right. It's just been kind of lingering. I knew it was a finger injury. I didn't know it was actually a blister, but
Yeah, I thought it was a blister. Maybe it was an actual real finger injury, which would be different, like if it was a tendon or something like that. No, it says a blister.
Nope, blister. You're right. July 13th. July 13th. You're right. It's been like a month.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, it wasn't even a sure thing he was going to go on the IL at first.
Man, that Ridge Hill super blister was freaking ridiculous for a while.
Yeah. And the funny thing about yeah, it was. It really was.
It was not,
it kept coming back.
Weeks and weeks and weeks.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, so I was did you Quijada was your guy in the Angels if you had to put someone on a list though? I mean,
yeah, he got the first save and he converted it. It might have just been though Chavez hadn't arrived yet. It was the day of the trade deadline and he got that save. But he's been around for a while. I mean, he's part of a committee. It was definitely like the lower end of the my priorities, but I got to get anybody.
It's hard enough to have a set closer on a bad team. It's really hard to have a committee guy on a bad team.
Yeah, but often committees turn into a closer after you convert one.
Yeah, I would think that you get one, you get the next one. I think it'll work. But I saw the walk rate on Quijada and I ran the other way.
Yeah, and it's not like we have a whole category of how Phil Nevin manages a bullpen either. So, yeah.
Oh, Phil Nevin. All right, well, let's get some offense talking, Fab. But first, a note from our sponsors at Caesars. The weather is heating up, and so are the promotions at Caesars Sportsbook. Today, anyone who is at least 21 years old in a licensed Caesars Sportsbook state can create a new account and redeem the Caesars Sportsbook promo code of ROTO15. That's ROTO15. The promo code gives new users a risk-free first bet up to $1,500. Visit Caesars.com/sportsbook or download the Caesars Sportsbook app today. Don't forget to use promo code ROTO15 when signing up. Jeff, let's talk some offense. I want to ask you about a couple of rookies actually 3 rookies who got called up. Miguel Vargas in LA, a pretty hyped rookie. Playing time's a big issue here in LA. They just have a lot of good players. Michael Massey got called up by the Royals, play second base with Merrifield out, and Jose Barrero in your Cincinnati Reds playing shortstop, hit 2 home runs on Saturday. Jeff, a 37% strikeout rate in AAA freaked me out a little bit. Does not sound good. Were you in on these guys? Or were you worried about playing time? I think Barrero was there to play. Vargas probably the best guy, but playing time's a big issue. How did you kind of deal with these 3 guys today?
I didn't go after any of them really. Vargas I thought was a playing time issue. Massey, I wasn't really on Massey. He wasn't one of those guys that I really was locked in on, but I look up and see he's in the top 200 James Anderson's prospect ranks. He's got some speed. 13 stolen bases and 15 attempts this year, and between double and AAA. Had 12 the year before. He stole one coming in, over the weekend going into the day's game. I don't think, and he was like 2 for 3 today too. So he might be all right. We'll see. That was one I kind of whiffed on a little bit there.
And you mentioned the speed. He got 16 home runs too. He had 21 home runs last year in high A. I mean, he's come up the system pretty quickly. He was drafted in 2019, and then obviously the 2020 problem when there was no minor leagues, and then kind of quick there. Hit for average throughout the minor leagues. He hit 325 this year in AAA in his short time there. 305 and 250 plate appearances in AA. So good, a little bit of speed, power, good batting average. Strikeout rate has risen as he's kind of moved up levels, but still a pretty good number there. I just didn't find myself needing middle infielders more than anything. I just was not. I'm mostly being an outfielders. I have a lot of injuries in my outfield, but it seemed like Massey is definitely interesting. He's 24. You got to think he's got a pretty good runway of playing time here with Merrifield out of there.
Yeah, it could be. I was off of that. He was batting 7th. I guess it was Nicky Lopez that sat today. Well, what are we going to do without Nicky Lopez in the lineup?
True. I don't know what the podcast does about Nicky Lopez. We love talking about him.
Yeah. Well, it just brings up happy memories of me in Favapalooza where I spent so much on him there.
It does. I'm looking though, but most days Witt plays third, Massey plays second, and Lopez plays short. Right? It can work out without all of them can play. Right? Am I missing someone? I don't think I am.
Well, Dozier at third. I mean, he's.
I guess you can play Dozier.
Hunter Dozier's got to play, Scott.
Yeah, but he could play left field, right? Maybe.
They had Nate Eaton starting today in right field. I mean, there's places.
Is that Adam Eaton's kid?
Might be. Pasquantino didn't play today either, which was interesting.
Yeah.
But that I'm a little worried on that one there because I keep on waiting for him to kind of catch fire, and that really hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of hard hit balls, and eventually you're like, I need those balls to kind of fall in at some point for this to work. But he's hitting 227 through 150 plate appearances. Some of those hard hits got to fall pretty quick here for it to work fantasy wise.
Yeah, they do. Harley is really upset about Pasquantino, as you can tell. But
seriously, does Harley have Pasquantino in a keeper league or something?
no, he just has separation anxiety from my wife. Anytime she's going outside and not with him.
Well, I mean, you do the same thing whenever your wife's not around. You tend to kind of be mopey also.
Oh, clearly. Or anytime he goes too, I do the same thing. But just to emulate.
Real quick, give me 30 seconds on Jose Barrero with the 2 home runs on Saturday. But is it just too many strikeouts, or what are we looking at here?
Hamate bone replaced in spring. Often it takes a while even after you come back. Sometimes you can go off the hook like Matt Olson did, but more often it's like Joey Gallo, where it's a long-standing issue there. And I think it was the latter here. He's also been way overmatched every time he goes to the majors, but if you look at his minor league production before this year, it was there. There was power.
23 was really good.
We were clamoring for the Reds to give him a shot last year.
Yep,
and instead Kyle Farmer had like the best month of his career. And so that gave him the job for the next 12 months. So there you go. But the Reds have like shortstops at every single level of the minors that are pretty good prospects, including the great Ellie De La Cruz in Double-A. But Noelvi Marte.
That dude hits some bombs, by the way. I just see clips of him on Twitter. My God, he hits some bombs.
He's so fun. He's gonna be amazing. But the Reds, I mean, they have just they're stock full of shortstop prospects, and that's a good thing, by the way.
Yeah.
That's shortstops can play anywhere except for catcher. I mean, they can literally play any other position. They're the best athletes on the field. In
high school and college, like almost always the best player plays there. So it's just kind of the way it works, especially in high school. I mean, anytime you draft that, the best player always plays shortstop.
So, I mean, this was an organizational weakness, and some people argue that they overreacted, but I don't think so. I think you can use them in it. Plus, by the way, other teams will also need shortstops in the future if you do happen to have an extra one. I always remember the Reds were debating between Barry Larkin and Kurt Stillwell. They trade away Kurt Stillwell to the Royals, and they got the whole point of this whole lesson was that they got a great pitcher from it. This is gonna tick me off that
from the Royal Ted Power, Danny Jackson.
Danny Jackson, thank you. It was driving me crazy. And Jackson was great with the Reds.
Yeah, he was really
fantastic with the Reds. It was a great trade. Point being is these guys always have currency. You are going to find someone that needs a good shortstop. So
Jeff, stolen bases are a stat in fantasy baseball. There was a guy that got called up this week. 49 stolen bases in AAA for the Texas affiliate in AAA. 13 home runs, hit 300. Bubba Thompson came up. He's played 3 games, already stole 2 bases. You never know with these guys if they're going to hit. I mean, these stolen base specialists, you never know if they're going to hit. He strikes out a pretty good amount for a guy who steals bases. He's 25% strikeout rate in the minors. We know that's probably going to jump up a little bit, but if you need stolen bases, you need bunches of them. This guy seems like he runs and he runs and he runs.
Yeah, he also whiffs and he whiffs and he whiffs.
He does. There's no doubt about that. He is a huge batting average risk for sure.
Yeah, I was asked about him. I did 2 articles on the site, reaction to the trade deadline, one breaking down every AL team's trades and one every NL team's trades. And I was asked about Bubba Thompson there. I picked the other guy pretty quickly over him. Okay. And it's killing me. Again, I need to go and check the comments now, and I can tell you who was asked. But point being is I had Bubba Thompson like in a score sheet league as a prospect a long time ago. You can't master the strike zone. And anytime you get a guy like that, I usually am pretty far away. Yeah, sometimes you get Adolis Garcia and he can have a good campaign. He can help. You can just power through the strikeouts. But
Adolis Garcia's got a ton of talent too. Like he swings a bit too much, but like just massive raw power too.
Yeah. McCarthy, by the way, was the question.
I go McCarthy.
Yeah.
But the thing with Bubba is like I just think this first time through, and that first time through for guys probably 4 to 6 weeks. Like I just think the batting average and getting on base can be really tough. But if I was desperate for stolen bases, I certainly would have been on him because you don't get guys who steal 50 bases in half a AAA season very often. I think he's worth the risk if you need stolen bases, but if you don't or you're in the middle, I would punt totally because I think it's a really good high percentage chance that it goes badly pretty quickly.
Yeah, the thing is, I made this point about closers on Twitter earlier today in responding to another question. We're looking for Mr. Right now, not Mr. Right.
Yeah, for sure. It's August 7th. Like you need somebody that's gonna be good the next 2 or 3 weeks.
The short sample thing can swing both ways. I mean, pitchers don't necessarily have a book on him yet. It might come really quickly, and he can strike out 10 times in the first week, and then everybody knows, don't throw a fastball to this guy; he will strike out. Or he might fool people for a month, and that's all you need, really.
Jeff, 2 questions in the chat real quick before we get to hitters. Lourdes Gurriel, any thoughts on his lack of power? He had 21 last year, only 5 right now. I looked at him the other day. I have him in one league. I actually think it's mostly a little bit of bad luck here. If you look at his hard contact, it's actually up. His barrel rate's down a little bit, but I look to see if his ground balls are way up, and they're really not. He still has too many ground balls, but it's the same as it was last year. You just look at home run to fly ball. Like for his career, it's a 15% home run to fly ball guy. He's at 5% right now. I think that at some point, it's just going to be one of those years where maybe he hits 13 instead of 20, but I think some are coming. I don't see a lot in his profile that's a lot different right now. I just think maybe his home runs are going like the ball is probably a big deal. It's type of the guy that, in 2019 hit 20 home runs and the ball helps him out there. I think it's a guy that, doesn't have the huge, massive price at 450-foot home runs, and maybe the ball's hurting him a little bit too.
I think so. Happy Fun Ball was like his biggest year last year in 2019. Yeah. I mean, you dig into his numbers a little bit. I mean, his ISO this year is 112, but even in his best year is 264. That's pretty good, but that's his best year too. It was 190 last year, so he ran a little lucky as far as that goes.
I think when you get guys who are like 20 home runs a great year, you always run that risk of them dropping 12 or 11 on you. It's just the way it is, where you get the guy with 35 home runs, he's always going to hit some. And you just, Gurriel needs those little close ones or to hit him in the right time at the right park. And I just think he's probably getting a little bit unlucky right now.
Yeah, 45% ground ball rate too. I mean,
yeah, it's huge. Your margin for error is just small when you're not hitting that many fly balls.
Right.
Yeah. The other question in the chat, please rank the late season flyers: Jack Flaherty, Lance McCullers, Mike Soroka, or Luis Severino. Severino, I would put last for sure because he's on the 60-day IL. So best case, he comes back late September or mid-September. He's not going to pitch very much. I think probably the guy to be most interested is probably Lance McCullers. It seems like he's ramping up pretty well right now. I don't know what Houston's plans going to be. Whether it's going to throw him in the bullpen. That's what I would do. I think he'd be a really good bullpen arm for them. They already have 5 or 6 starters. But I think McCullers is probably the best. Him and Flaherty are the only ones I'd probably be interested in. I don't think I'd want Soroka or Severino.
I haven't seen anything on Soroka lately. I mean, the fact that they're sending Anderson down, maybe they think that's possible.
He's expected to pitch in simulated games soon. Like it's August 7th. There's no way I'm touching that as something that's viable in a fantasy league.
Flaherty's a little bit ahead of that.
Yeah, he is. I saw some quotes that he's going to begin a minor league rehab assignment soon. I'd still put McCullers ahead of him because McCullers already making some of the starts. So I'd go McCullers, Flaherty, big gap, neither the rest of the field.
I'd agree with that. And I think McCullers starts. I mean, the fact is that like a week ago, there was a note he was stretched out to like 3 innings. I mean, you don't have him, stretch out unless you think he's going to be capable of starting. They traded away Odorizzi. They're going to want to stretch out that. And they've shown the willingness to go 6-man rotation. So I don't see that changing. So yeah, that'd be the path I'd go.
Pretty good pitcher with a lot of strikeouts too. So if he does get some starts in there, I mean, worst case, you're gonna get some strikeouts. You probably get some wildness coming off the injury. You probably get some rust and all that, but I think you at least get strikeouts. At least you're getting something from those starts.
Yeah, I think there's actually a pretty big gap between McCullers and Flaherty too, for that matter. I mean, the idea of Flaherty is pretty good, but and they need someone that can take the ball in a playoff game, but he's got to be able to prove he can take the ball, period. And the fact is he was doing a lot of his rehab at home, and he's out here near us. He's in Burbank. So
you're probably right. I go McCullers, gap, Flaherty, then super gap, then everybody else.
Yeah.
Other bats in free agency. I think that my favorite guy was Oscar Gonzalez, who has not really hit for power, but I do like his power profile. He's about 60% rostered in the main event. He came back up this week from the injury. I did like him there. I picked him up in some onlines also. I think that he's hitting middle of the lineup, which is obviously very important. Jeff, they DFA'd Franmil Reyes this week.
I know. There had to be something there that I mean, you just don't give up on a guy unless
I get you get the demotion. You're like figure stuff out for 2 weeks, but then he went demotion and DFA the next day. That was crazy.
Well, if you remember during COVID, they had a problem with him. Like, him like refusing to follow the protocols, went to some party or something like that. And I'll just say it sounds like there might have been a personality fit, and he probably didn't take the demotion very well, as be my guess. But yeah, that's huge. Rocky should claim him. And he's expensive too, by the way. So that might be part of it. But yeah, the Rockies should claim him. We can go LOL Rockies and how they did things.
He'd be kind of massive in Colorado. That'd be a nice fit.
Yeah. My guy that I went after this week.
Give me your guy. I'd love to hear it.
Nick Gordon.
Oh, I love that. I had him in a top bid in one. I got outbid, but he's playing 5 or 6 straight games. He's you look at his bat. He's always been a guy we looked at for speed, but 49% hard hit rate, a barrel rate over 11% so far this year.
He was batting fifth today.
Yeah.
He is, I mean, Kirilloff is out for the season. So,
It's a shame. I don't think that wrist is ever going to be right.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out after a surgery, right?
Yeah. That's true. I mean, he probably should have done this originally, but yeah. How much did you get? How much did you get Gordon for? I'm curious how popular
11.
he was. Oh, that's a nice bid. I would. I don't know if I would have won that. I forget what number I was at. He went for like 29 where I was bidding on him though.
Okay. And I think we just got kind of lucky that there were so many other, good players to go on here. But we're also seeing like the top bids go down. Like the highest bid in my Vegas main was 36. We had 42 players added, but 36 was the top bid. So
yeah, we had a 51 for Jonathan Hernandez was the top bid.
Okay, not bad. It was Will Crow in one at 36. The other one, it was Derek Hall at 35. He was
all
available.
right. Yeah, he had a good week this week, so I guess I could see that working out.
Were you after Joe Adell anywhere?
I've given up on Joe Adell.
Okay,
at least for
likewise. Now. Yeah.
I was kind of backing in the start of the year, and now I'm just it just strikes out so much. It's tough.
Would you like to take a bite of a Lars Nootbaar?
That was I was in my waterfall, as Jeff Erickson would say. I actually, I think I looked and it's like there's just not a lot there. He's playing a lot. I think he's played 6 or 7 straight days, which is key. I mean, we're looking for playing time at this point. But every time I looked, I was like, oh, he's never hit more than like 6 home runs or 11. I think he has 11 home runs last year across AAA and the majors, but 5 home runs so far this year. He's hitting 226. I don't know. He's just kind of, I looked at him and every time I was like, oh, I'll pick up this guy. I kind of got blah by him.
Yeah. It's just playing time.
Playing time's king right now.
Yeah. And, Cardinals are hot, figure Yepes coming back eventually will be an issue for them, but they didn't, they traded away an outfielder. They traded away Harrison Bader. So there's a little bit of long-term.
That was a strange ass trade, by the way.
Oh, I think it was a great trade for the Cardinals.
I mean, Bader's in a walking boot for like the next month.
Yeah, I don't understand the Yankee side of it. I guess they're thinking they'll get him in September, and he's a true center fielder.
Yeah, he's elite defender. Like he's a phenomenal center fielder. There's no doubt.
Yet, giving up on Montgomery like this. When Montgomery had a bad outing last weekend against the Royals, only went 4 after being given a lead, and that's kind of a theme for him. Like he pitches okay, but he doesn't go deep. Even when he beat the Yankees yesterday, he went 5. And I think he had some cramping. I think he said it was just the heat. He was adjusting the heat and humidity or whatever. But I don't know. There's something there. He always seemed like he was running into bad luck. He's had like 8 decisions all season without missing a start. Yeah. So it's just kind of weird.
Felt like adding a guy who's hurt for a month, and then who knows how he comes back. Just seemed a little bit odd to me. But he is a great center fielder when he plays. So there is that. And they have a center fielder right now, Jeff, that is absolutely brutal. And Aaron Hicks, he broke his 0 for 33 streak this week or today with two infield singles, but he's been a disaster for them.
Yeah, and the thing is, he used to be an elite defensive center fielder, and I don't think he's that either.
Yeah, he had the Tommy John, so the arm used to be unbelievable. I think it's still pretty good, and he used to be faster too. And it's just I think he's bulked up a little bit, and it's just not the same guy it was out there a couple years ago.
Excellent golfer, by the way, Aaron Hicks.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes, and apparently so is Jeff McNeil.
All right.
So you may be a better outfielder than him, but he's a better golfer than both of us. So
yeah, but he probably hits it like 220 with his driver.
He apparently was debating.
I'm sure he matches.
Yeah, he was debating between going, college golf and college baseball. Apparently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I heard that on the Mets broadcast this weekend.
Very nice. Mm-hmm. Anybody else that you guys were looking to add on offense? Any Daniel Vogelbach action, anything at all like that? Anybody else you guys were looking at?
I mean, it was definitely Gordon was our priority, which was nice that we got him. That's a rare thing. Nootbaar, Oscar Gonzalez was on our list. Yeah.
Gotta ask you for the last guy. Save the last guy for last. I picked him up everywhere. Is Eleris Montero. I looked. Before we started, I looked up the pronunciation. That's how the AAA announcers for his prior team say. Right. So I'm going to stick with that. I looked closer. I really liked Montero. I think that I have no idea if or when Chris Bryant is coming back. I think that that he's played 42 games. That foot's a problem. You look at Montero, 15 home runs, hit 310 in AAA. I get that they play in an offensive park there, but he does in the majors too. They have 6 home games this week. he was a cheap ad. He's playing every day. I think he's played the last 6 games. He had 2 hits today. As I looked further and further, third base has been kind of weirdly tough for me in a couple leagues, but he has hits in 7 straight games. He has 2 hits in 3 straight games. Going home for 6 games. I really liked Montero as an ad this week. They came across actually pretty cheap.
Yeah. In that same vein, Jonathan Daza was available in one of our mains. We picked him up for just $1.
Yeah, I mean, him and Jose Iglesias, not going to hit any power, but good batting average, get some runs in there. 6 home games. I think you're going to start those guys at home for half weeks over some of these fringy guys. But
the only thing I don't like is he doesn't run.
Which guy is
Daza? Daza. Sorry,
he doesn't hit for power either, Jeff.
I'm aware of that.
He does hit for average though. He's hit 301. He's got 38 runs scored. You're looking for 2 categories. You're only playing him at home. I think that's very workable as long as you don't decide you want to play him on the road sometimes.
He's a poor man's Luis Arias, but
very, very poor.
Yes. Hoppers, man.
But I do like Montero a little bit. I like what I saw when I looked at him. He's hitting the ball hard. He only has 53 plate appearances, but a 13% barrel rate, 53% hard hit rate. He hit 28 home runs last year across AA and AAA, where he's hit 282. So it's like he had a little bit of a strikeout issue in 2019. He seems like he's fixed that. He struck out less last year. He only struck out 21%. 21% last year.
Look at the majors.
Yeah, 53. For the first time through, he struck out like 40% of the time. So it's been
1 walk, 21 Ks, 39.6% K percentage.
It's been bad to start, but it seems like in the minors he fixed his 2019 issues. We'll see if he can do it in the majors. But you're right. The first time around, it's probably going to be tough. I don't know. There's a love here, and it plays in Colorado. I like this one as an ad, and it was cheap.
Sure.
So we'll see what we get after a week and see if he's a hold or kind of a drop back into the pile.
I think he's fine for this week. And I think he's just like, just like Daza, but he's better than Daza because he can hit for some power at least. But for the most part, he's definitely someone you don't ever use on the road.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Unless maybe he goes to Arizona or got a few small spots, but I think he'll be a home play for sure.
He was a part of the Arenado trade.
Well, there you go. Now he's destined to be perfect.
Yeah. Well, no, he's destined to. Well, sorry, he's probably cursed, but because of that. But
it's probably true too.
You won't get gombered by him. You can't get negative points like you do a starting pitcher. You might go for 13 or something like that. Yeah.
But I like the improvements he made the last couple of years. We'll see if it sticks in the majors. Obviously, we talked many times. The first time through was tough, but I liked him as an ad this week. I think hopefully it's going to work out.
I can buy it.
A few news and notes here before we get out of here real quick. George Springer on the 10-day IL. I feel like this is inevitable. He's been kind of like missing every third game with the elbow inflammation. Then he swings and he grabs it and he plays the next day. I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but it felt like he needed to take a break and kind of get this worked out.
Yeah, and Toronto's kind of opened up a little bit of gap on the wild card, so that helps a little bit. But yeah, I mean, they had greater ambitions, and they're not going to come anywhere close to the Yankees. But
is there anybody that really benefits from him out? I guess Tapia probably plays more.
He was already kind of playing a lot, I thought.
He was playing a lot. I was trying to figure out who might
quit Merrifield, actually.
Oh, I guess they add Merrifield was there too. So yeah, that's true also. But I guess Tapia probably, instead of losing time, Tapia will probably stick with the time he had, I guess.
Yeah. Biggio maybe plays a little bit more, just in the spillover effect. They put Merrifield in the outfield. That's one way you can look at it there. But yeah, it's not ideal, but especially because it hurts him at the top of the lineup too.
Ronald Acuna was scratched today with some lower body soreness. I watched the game yesterday. He seemed like he was laboring running the bases. I'm a little worried that might be a little more than lower body soreness. It seemed like he was really struggling on it. He had a double yesterday. And it seemed like he was really struggling coming around the bases.
And then I think he pinch hit, right, today?
Oh, did he pinch it down? That's a good sign at least then.
Let me double check on that. Make sure I'm not like full of it, but more full of it than usual.
Did they make him face DeGrom or Diaz?
No, it was earlier in the game, so it was DeGrom, I think.
He did. He pinch hit for Rosario at one point, probably when Yoli Rodriguez was.
I think he hit a good ball that just got robbed. He got robbed on, if I recall correctly.
I like to see him in the lineup because I think that I was a little bit worried watching him kind of run around yesterday. Kyle Tucker missed the last 4 games with illness. It sounds like they have not said anything about COVID, but it just sounds like illness. But that's quite a 4 games is a bunch. So hopefully he'll be back soon. And obviously check lineups on Kyle Tucker. We mentioned Fernando Tatis already. Julio Rodriguez should return Wednesday or Friday. If you play in a league with half league moves, that is very helpful because you can put him in over the weekend. If not, I think you're playing him anyway, right?
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Going back to the Astros real quick. They got shut out by Quantrill and McKenzie in back-to-back days.
Their offense is brutal. brutal this weekend. Every time I have multiple Astros, every time I looked, I'm like, oh my god, they didn't score. It's like, it was a little rough. I mean, you get those kind of moments in the season, but yeah, they need to get the offense going because it was.
And meanwhile, Luis Garcia was pretty shaky against Cleveland on Saturday, and he's kind of been a little shaky lately. We've gotten a lot of strikeouts from him over the course of the season, but if you take a look at him a little closer, he's not a set it and forget it pitcher any longer.
It's interesting. I don't have him anywhere, so I'd not really noticed how much he's been struggling. Yeah, you're right. ERA's almost up to 4 now.
Yeah. And, you've gotten your Ks out of him, 117 and 112 innings, but just look, over his last few outings, there's a 3, there's a 4, he's stabilized. Those 4 runs against him against Cleveland came early against the Guardians, but Oakland got him for 4 and 5 2/3.
Well, that's not surprising. Oakland gets
RAs.
Yeah, you can't stop that.
18 homers allowed so far in 20 starts. So it's a little bit of a gopher ball issue for him too.
That's a good call. I like that. We mentioned Clayton Kershaw went on the IL. It sounded like it was going to be quick, and then he got an epidural on Friday. Now there's no timetable for his throwing program. I don't love the sound of that. Obviously, he's had multiple back issues in his past. So that when he came off the mound, I think he said, "It's my back." And that's like the last thing you want.
And it was immediate too.
Yeah.
Like
you don't want an arm injury, but then you don't want a back also. Like it's just. Oof.
Let's just keep him away from Mike Trout's doctors. Otherwise, he's going to be like
they're going to make up diseases for him.
Yeah.
You mentioned Alex Kirilloff done for the year. Anthony Rizzo missed the weekend with some lower back tightness. We talked about backs a bunch of times today. Never good there. Obviously, you want to see him in the lineup. They do play tomorrow, but the late game they're at Seattle, so hopefully you get some lineups there. Other than that, we mentioned Aaron Savali returning. Trevor Rogers, we already talked about. Travis d'Arnaud had some lower leg issues. He should rejoin the Braves by next weekend. They don't think they're going to put him on the IL, so he should be back. Mickey Moniak, you tweeted about earlier. He was going to be full-time playing time with the Angels, broke his finger, so he sounds like he's done. Maybe not for the year, but for a long time here. Yeah,
they backtracked on a little bit. Their initial report was out for the year, and then they said no, not out for the year, but it's going to be a while, and it still could be. But it's tough for him because he was going to get a real chance to play every day for the Angels.
Yeah.
And now he won't.
Last guy I want to ask you about before we jump out of here, Jeff. JD Martinez with the Red Sox. One of those guys that I have on a team and I just don't even think about it. I just put him in the lineup every week and I'm like, oh, JD Martinez is playing. He's in the lineup. Good to go. Jeff, he has 9 home runs this year. I have no idea what's going on. He has 9. He had 28 last year. He's got 9 right now. It's very strange. Like you look at his numbers and a lot of stuff's really saying maybe it's kind of a Lourdes Gurriel thing where he's a little unlucky in the ball, but 9 home runs is killer for JD Martinez right now.
Well, and he was on fire to start the season too.
Yeah, I don't know, like 330 for a long time.
Yeah. The problem with this all too is that he, the COVID year 2020, he really struggled.
Yep.
And he blamed like the lack of video and all that.
That's right. I remember that. That's right.
The accelerated start was. Remember, we were making up lists of JD Martinez excuses. I'm concerned. I am concerned. I turned down a trade for him in a long-standing keeper league, or his score sheet league actually. But because he's not going to help you defensively either in a sim game like that. Right. You need, if you're not going to help you if you're not going to hit for power and you can't play defense, what are you doing?
In a roto league, he's not running. He has, not going to steal any bases. So there's that also. It's just, it's wild. It's one of those guys that just kind of set and forget. And maybe he's at the point here where, that should not be so. Maybe he's a scheduled kind of play and platoon some guys. You look at, his hard hit rate's still pretty good. The barrel rate's really, really good, better than it was last year. He's not hitting a ton of ground balls. They're just not going out. And you just wonder, you wonder he's 34, maybe just not quite as much on it. But 9 home runs is concerning on August 7th.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's a free agent at the end of the year too. And so that's not looking too good. He exercised a player option. He had an opt out, I think, going into this year. Like they were worried about him opting out. He made the right call not opting out. But yeah, I'm concerned about him for sure. Absolutely. Not as much as I am about our guy, Nelly Cruz, but
do you think we finally got there?
I mean, it's hard to conclude otherwise. He's a cut in 12s now. I'm seeing a lot of places. I haven't cut him yet, but because I'm loyal and stubborn and stupid. But and even he's a bench. I think he's even a bench in a 15 because you can't understate, how much it ties your hands when your DH only guy is tying up your UT spot and not hitting. I mean, it's been a bad year for those guys. Franmil Reyes is terrible this year and now gone. That's a lot of damage. You're using high draft capital and roster spot capital.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his numbers; they're down. Hard hit rate's down, still really good, but 8 home runs, kind of the same as JD hitting but he's hitting 230. At least JD's hitting 280.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I mean, that Washington lineup is brutal now too. So there is that also. It's just it's sad, as you know, one of my favorite players, and he is 42. It had to come at some point. Everybody was banking on it 4 or 5 years ago, and we've got the benefit of that for many years, and it might be the end of the road here.
Yeah, all this time we're like, well, you just didn't like hitting in Tampa Bay. Well, maybe it was that he was showing other signs too, and we didn't read that properly.
So cool. Well, Jeff, I think it's good to go. Anybody else you want to talk about on here?
No, I think we're pretty thorough here.
I think Tom Kim just made another birdie, by the way.
Oh, I like him.
Dude,
I like him.
Beast.
Too bad our golf league isn't a keeper league. Well, except for the fact that the rest of my team stinks. But if I got Tom Kim for the minimum, I'd be happy with that.
Dude made a quad on the first hole on Thursday morning.
Won by 5 strokes.
A quad. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I know.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
I think I texted you that morning. I'm like, oh well, so much for our Tom Kim. That's done already. And
yeah,
clearly he showed me who was boss there. But
yeah, exactly.
Anyway, thanks everybody for listening to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. We always do appreciate it. If you could please rate or review the podcast, that would be appreciated. Also, other than that, hope everybody has a great week. Enjoy some of these pennant races and games here as we get into the dog days here in August. We'll be back at you next Sunday night. Hope everybody has a great fantasy week. Take care.